Hi everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Natalie. If this is the first time that you're watching my videos, thank you for being here. I am a Western tropical astrologer and I use a whole sign house system for all my forecasts and readings. In this video, we are talking about this upcoming week astrology forecast, and we'll be talking about November 17 to 23rd of 2025. This week, we have quite a lot going on. And on top of all the aspects that I'll be talking about, we also have a Scorpio new moon to talk about. This is a pretty intense, might be cathartic new moon. So if I may suggest, please make time, if possible, to have a slower schedule. Try not to have a packed day that day. So let's dive right in for this week. First of all, Monday, we have the Sun and Scorpio trine Saturn retrograde in Pisces at 25 degrees. Sun trine Saturn is a nice, beautiful day to actually feel and see how far you've come and just give a little pat on your shoulder, no matter where you think you are right now, where you think you should be right now. It's not a day to think about, I wish I'm there already, but also not to forget to acknowledge how far you've come, because sometimes we focus so much on how much further we want to be and how much more we wish we have. We forget the most present moment right here, right now, of how far you've come, the version of you 10 years ago, even 10 months ago, will be so proud of where you are right now in some way, shape, or form. So don't forget to give yourself a pat on the shoulder if you've been feeling a little down lately, or just wondering, all the what ifs, or wondering how much further you think you want to be right now. And for some people, Saturn is retrograding right now, but Saturn has been in Pisces for the past 2.5 years, almost 3, right? So this is the last time Saturn is going back into Pisces. Very soon, Saturn will station direct and officially leave Pisces next year. So this is the last time. This following few months is also the last bit of Saturn and Pisces. We won't have that for a very long time. So for some, maybe perhaps this is a moment to reflect on the past 2.5, almost 3 years, right? Since March 2023. How far you've come. Maybe perhaps you set some discipline, commitment, boundaries, all these Saturnian things, right? Perhaps you commit to learning something new. Perhaps you commit to set boundary with someone, something, or whatever it is, right? You have been wanting to do something, and maybe perhaps today is a moment to also see some of them might have paid off. Look at how far you've come. Maybe the boundaries, the discipline, the commitment you set for yourself, they are paying off right now. So take a moment to recognize that as well. On the same day, we have Mercury retrograding in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree. So this is the last little aspect that Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius will make before it dips back into Scorpio. So I feel like this is a moment to, since we are in Mercury retrograde, this is a day where you might find, some of you, not all, might find yourself circle back into some conversation that you have earlier during maybe the pre-retrograde, or maybe there's some ideas or thought that you were thinking and now they are resurfacing for you to dig deeper, right? Pluto in Aquarius, this is about digging deeper, maybe finding out some truth, maybe seeing things from a different perspective. And maybe for some, this is also having a honest, deep, even healing conversation with someone or with yourself, right? So you might want to see what that might mean for you. Check out your Sag and Aquarius houses and see what are the themes and topics. Maybe it's about that. On the 19th, Wednesday, Mercury retrograde will re-enter Scorpio. So now Mercury is going back, retrograding, and today it will retrograde back into Scorpio for some more time. So just a side note, last time we have a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Scorpio was a few years ago. That was October 2020. Very special time. I'm sure we all remember those times. And you can have a think around those time, October 2020. What were you doing? What were you navigating through? What kind of conversation you were having? What thoughts, idea you were thinking through? Maybe for some of you, this Mercury retrograde going back into Scorpio, the rest of this Mercury retrograde journey might have some of those stuff resurfacing for you. Maybe the themes and topic might have some kind of resemblance. So take a look down memory lane and see what was happening around that time. Mercury retrograding back into Scorpio, the flavor is going to be very different compared to the past couple weeks when we have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. These two energies, very different. Mercury in Scorpio is more of a quiet thinker and observer. It like to stay in the background, right? Sag is obviously louder and more direct, even blunt, having like multiple chat groups and multiple tabs on the go. Scorpio, in a different way, is more like inward energy. So for some, perhaps the rest, well, not the rest, I think until the end of November, the Mercury retrograde period might feel a bit more like going inward for you. Maybe this is about diving in within yourself, right? Going back, rethink some of the conversation, revisit some of the thoughts that you were having. Maybe spend some time thinking what were you thinking or talking about the past few weeks. Maybe you will be doing more of a thinker observer energy, right? What went wrong? What is no longer aligned? Do I need to rethink something, reevaluate something, right? And right after Mercury retrograde re-enters Scorpio, is immediately going to create some aspect. First, we have Mercury retrograde in Scorpio having a trine with Neptune retrograde in Pisces. It's a lovely trine, right, between two water signs. This can be reawakening some of the compassion within us. Neptune is compassionate, is dreamy. It wants us to remember how interconnected we are. And Mercury in Scorpio is a deep thinking energy, right? Perhaps this day is about remembering how much we are all connected together on this collective, in this world. And it might awaken something within us to remind us that we also have a sacred responsibility for each other and for Mother Earth. And then on the same day, this is a very big day. We have a lot going on. We also have Venus in Scorpio having a trine with North Node in Pisces at 15 degrees. Now, this is interesting because Venus is now in Scorpio, a sign that Venus is in detriment. But Venus is exalted in Pisces. So now having this trine between North Node in Pisces and Venus in Scorpio is almost like that North Node in Pisces is giving some support, help to that detrimented Venus in Scorpio. And today with that trine, not all, but some, you might encounter some important turning point or development in your relationships, not just romantic, but any one-on-one. Maybe for some, depending how this aspect is interacting with your chart, you might meet someone important today that feel very fated and destined. So if you are one of those people, I would love for you to comment and let me know. on the same day, we have our Scorpio new moon, which is happening on the 19th, 10:47 p.m. Pacific time, or earlier time zone. It is going to be November the 20th, 2:47 p.m. Hong Kong time. So adjust the time according to where you are in the world. This new moon is happening with the sun and the moon at 28 degrees 11 minutes in the sign of Scorpio. Very, very close to that energetic, literally like next to each other, right? Because the last degree is like 29. So this 28 degree new moon also have that feeling, that energy of this energetic degree, right? And we have been having all these new moon since the eclipse season, since the solar eclipse, essentially the new moon in Virgo, which is at the energetic degree, the 29 degrees, all of them so far. So the Virgo one, the Libra, and now Scorpio new moon, they are all happening at the very, very last couple of degrees in the sign. So, and we will continue to have those new moons that is very close to the energetic degree for the next few lunations as well, next few new moons, until we hit eclipse season again. And then slowly but surely in spring, the new moon degree will start to move away from those last second degrees, meaning that these half a year of new moons are going to also feel like a full moon in some way, because having a new moon happening in the last couple of degrees of the sign is essentially meaning that we already been through the whole season, and now something is wrapping up. Something needs to be dealt with, faced, looked at before we move on to the next season. So it also means that it's not just about setting new intentions, but it's also about reflecting on what needs to be let go before you actually want to create that new space to set those new intentions, right? So it's not always about just setting new intentions. It's also about letting go what is not align or what does not resonate, in order to create that space to actually allow you to set new intentions. So take a look and see what house is ruled by Scorpio. What are the themes, topics, area of life is Scorpio house about? Those are the topics that might serve us up. And since we also have a Mercury retrograde happening in the Scorpio house, this is also a time to reflect on those stuff and to see what is not sticking, what is not resonating, what is not aligning, to let go of them in order to create those new space for whatever new intentions you wish to set. So all the aspect that I've just mentioned that's happening on the 19th also baked into this new moon energy, because all these aspects is happening as we have this new moon. So another aspect that is happening, which probably is the strongest one amongst all the ones that I've just shared, which is Mercury retrograde opposing Uranus and Taurus. Now this is going to be louder, right? With Uranus and Taurus opposing Mercury retrograde, this is shocking, surprising, things that can not go according to our plan, right? This can be sudden changes, surprises, shocking news, information coming in that kind of change the course of things. For some of us, this can be things that just knocked you off your socks, right? Both planets are also in retrograde. Taurus talks about our sense of embodiment, right? Our sensual experience, our body, right? Literally. Scorpio is the opposite, is the underworld, is the subconscious, things that we can't really touch, right? Not as tangible. As Taurus is the opposite. When the two of them have that opposition with Uranus and Mercury retrograde, there's just this feeling of something might create this disconnect today. You might feel a shock, like knock you out of your system. You might feel this unsettling, even out of body disconnection. Maybe the news just, not what you expected. Maybe that information was just very like unexpected. And this can happen in your personal world, but this can also happen on a collective level. Like some big news on the collective level might just kind of like, whoa, what just happened, right? And Scorpio also rules our reproductive system, body parts. So I can't help but to think about, having Mercury retrograde there right now, Venus also there. We have this new moon is opposing Uranus. This can be on a collective level, perhaps, which I really want to talk about. I haven't had the time to make a shorts about it, but on November 12th, when we have that Mercury retrograde conjuncting Mars, that really loud, crazy one that I talked about last week, that was when the Epstein emails got leaked. That was really loud, and that was a manifestation of that aspect. And I feel like this new moon is going to uncover more of that. It's funny how I can't go into all the details right now, but it is interesting how they also aspect Epstein chart. Even though someone's passed, their chart can still be very much activated and affected by what is happening up in the sky and that little orange man as well. So I'm sure you already saw some maybe reels, videos, shorts talking about that, but I feel like this new moon this week we're going to uncover more. So yeah, and unfortunately this opposition can also bring up what we already know in Gaza, Sudan, and other places, the horrific how to say that sex torture and abuse the people have to endure, that went through, which is very sad. But hopefully this new moon is not just about having that news being broadcast, but actually awaken more people to take action, right? To educate themselves, to know that how we make our daily choices in some way, shape, or form directly have a connection with what is happening in the world. And even though it feels like nothing, it feels like very little, but together we can all move the needle closer, and together we can all create the change that we want to, if we decide to do it together, right? So this is also that aspect might be calling in. The ruler of this Scorpio new moon is Mars, because Mars rules Scorpio. And right now Mars is in Sagittarius. It's not making any particular aspect. It is building up to a square with Saturn, but it's not gonna be exact until early December. So it's still a little far away, but that energy is slowly building up. Mars square Saturn can be a check-in facing the reality moment. So maybe this new moon might have this effect on some of us, right? But Mars in Sagittarius can be a little impulsive, chaotic, stubborn. Mars in Sagittarius is a wildfire, okay? So this is not the best Martian energy to work with. So actually this is not a new moon you want to use for any kind of election or like ritual or intention setting, okay? Because very much we are in retrograde period. Actually, the best way to work with this new moon is go into solitude, to give yourself that moment to reflect, to look within, and to get in touch with what is really coming up for you and how you're feeling, right? And this new moon, like I said, is happening at 28 degrees 11 minutes in Scorpio. That is the third decan in Scorpio, and the third decan in Scorpio is ruled by this tarot card, Seven of Cups. Very much self-explanatory, and I feel like it explained the energy of this new moon quite well as well. In this Seven of Cups, you can see this person is confused, right? Looking at all these Seven of Cups, Every cup has something different and different energy. They all mean something different. Some of them has a more positive meaning to it. Some are questionable, right? But you don't truly know what's really inside of that cup and what it can bring you, right? And the thing here is making choices, knowing that you have the free will to pick and choose what cup you want for yourself. And guess what? You can choose none of it, right? You can choose all of it. You can choose some of it. And this is about what kind of choices you want to make for yourself. Do you know? Do you need more time? Do you need to go within and use your own method to, find out which cup is right for you? What do you really need right now, right? And you have the free will to choose, to make choices. This is about you knowing you have the power within you to make choices for yourself. And with that, know what will you choose, right? So this is very much about not rushing, right? This new moon is definitely telling you not to rush into some kind of decision. This is about taking a step back, going inward to see what's in front of you, what choices do you have, and how can you use them wisely, right? So a lot is happening. That's why I say if you can, and many of the aspects really require you to kind of give yourself more space. So I would not kind of cramp your schedule up with Mercury retrograde and happening as well. Not the best thing to do. The next day, on the 20th, we have a Mercury Cazimi happening 28 degree, 18 minute in Scorpio, right after that new moon essentially. So this can very much feels like whatever the new moon is bringing up. This Mercury Cazimi might give you some aha moments, some insight, some realization, right? Mercury Cazimi is always happening in the midst of, well, not all, but whenever we have a Mercury retrograde, the Mercury Cazimi will mark the midway point of Mercury retrograde journey. So this means today it marks that we are halfway through our Mercury retrograde journey. Mercury Cazimi literally also means burning through, right? The Mercury is passing through the sun, right? Literally getting cleansed, renew, starting a new Mercury cycle with the renewal of the sun. So whenever we have a Mercury Cazimi, yes, some of us might have some aha moment. We might see some signing synchronicities that mean something special to us. But this can also mean secret being revealed, because Mercury is what? Information, ideas, communication. Sun is shining a light on it, right? Literally burning through. So perhaps today, you personally or on a collective level, some kind of secret information might be revealed as well. Maybe this is another puzzle piece in your Mercury retrograde journey. On the same day, we have Uranus retrograde in Taurus, sextile Neptune retrograde in Pisces at 29 degrees. All these aspects this week, almost all of them are happening at all this energetic degree, this moment of crisis crashing out degree. So it can be a lot. Make time for rest, make time for solitude, make sure you're staying hydrated, you're making time for yourself. This is the last time that we will have a sextile between Uranus and Taurus and Neptune and Pisces, because the two of them, both planets, they are collective generational planets. They are both in retrograde. They are both retrograding back into the previous sign where they spent the past decade in it. So this sextile in some way is really like bittersweet but lovely. It is like a moment to reflect on the Taurus house, the Pisces house, because Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2008 or 9. So it's been a long time. and they have been moving and shaking up things in your own life and on a collective level, because they're both generational planets, right? They create a decade of changes. And this is the sextile between Uranus and Neptune feels like a warm hug, but can also be a little bit radical. Because Uranus ultimately is the great awakener, right? Is that revelation energy. Neptune in Pisces is all about the interconnectiveness, the collective consciousness. This sextile is here to remind us how we are all interconnected, that we embody the same energy, right? Where we come from, how we were created, from the bursting of the stars, all those chemicals, we're all the same. Even though we might look different, we might have different language, we might have different skin color, but we are all interconnected on this floating blue and green dot. We owe it to each other we have a sacred responsibility to each other, to care for each other, to make this world a better place for all of us, not just some. And we all have a responsibility to Mother Earth, right? So I hope today, with this last sextile between Uranus and Taurus and Neptune and Pisces, it really move our hearts in some way, shape, or form, and remind us that 21st, we have the Sun in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus, and trining Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So the Mercury just made all these aspects a couple days ago during the new moon, right? Mercury opposed Uranus and trine Neptune just a couple days ago during the new moon, and now the Sun moving forward and repeating those aspects. So today can be the continuation of that new moon. The Mercury first waken some messages for you, and now the Sun coming in and shining a light on those. So perhaps you're gaining more insight of your new moon message, your new moon energy, what is coming up or what already came up can feel more vivid today, right? But with the Sun trine Neptune, this might be a lot of energy, that you have been experiencing the past few days also. And the Sun trine Neptune can simply be, please take a nice nap to relax and rest from whatever just came up as well, okay? And shortly after that, we have the Sun entering Sagittarius, bringing in a new season. So Sun will enter Sagittarius on the 21st, 5:25 p.m. Pacific time, or November 22nd, 9:35 a.m. Hong Kong time. So just the time according to where you are in the world. Talk about a vibe shift, okay? Today is definitely going to feel that vibe shift. From that intuitive, deep, quiet, like deep water Scorpio season, underworld season. We are rising up from all those contemplation, those shadow work, those healing work, excavating, burning down things and letting things die from the Scorpio season. And now we're rising. The Phoenix is rising to this fiery Sagittarius season. So maybe for some, Scorpio season was a time where you go inward. Something might have came up. You might have done some shadow work. You might need to face some inner demon. You might have to unearth something. Now in Sagittarius season, this is the time to question what came up. Because Sagittarius is that seeker, right? Sagittarius is the truth seeker, the explorer, the traveler, right? It is the sage energy. So this is a time where you will continue that journey and you will explore and find out what they all really mean. And for some, this can be related to philosophy, psychology, spirituality, religion, those kind of topics. Like I said, Sag is the explorer, is the traveler, is philosopher. They are also known to be funny. They are the joker. They are the life of the party. Sag season happened in the time of the year where we have holiday season coming up for those who celebrate. So it always tend to have that celebrational energy, right? People are coming together, there's parties, good food, there is like people talking to each other, hanging out, and just enjoying each other's company, right? That's why Sag also have this larger than life energy in their life. I mean, they're ruled by Jupiter, so they do have that larger than life energy. It's a big planet, right? And it is known for abundance, expansion, and just like gold and fun. So Sag is associated with that energy too. While Sag knows how to party and knows a good joke, Sag can also be a little obnoxious, a little bit they are very straightforward, but sometimes they are a little bit too much that they are actually blunt, right? And their words can hurt. They might feel like they're just joking, but for some people it's not, right? It's like, whoa, what did you just say? And especially with Mercury retrograde happening in Sag and Scorpio, you might want, because we're all going to feel that energy, we will embody it, right? Either we are expressing that energy, or someone around us is going to express that energy. So definitely think before you speak during Sag season as well. Like, have fun, enjoy, have a good time, but also be mindful with that energy, right? Not to go overboard, because Jupiter rule sign can go overboard. Next day, on the 22nd, we have Mercury retrograde in Scorpio having a trine with Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. So essentially, this is the grand water trine energy coming up. We did have the Sun trining Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer a couple weeks ago. And now Mercury is traveling through and activating those grand water trine again. So perhaps Mercury is going to bring in some more information, news, knowledge in those areas of our life for us. With so much water energy, right? We have like an overflowing water energy with all these grand water trines that we've been having. And like I said last time, water, when there's an excess of water energy, of course, there's an excess of emotions too. And there's also an excess to water-related issues that might come up. And we can definitely see the devastating flood that just happened recently. We have that catastrophic typhoon in Jamaica, in the Philippines, and now in Gaza, flooding so many places, displacing so many people. We also see news associated with water issues, right? They are all coming up. Well, and some of them has been floating around, but I feel like they get more attention this month with all this water trines. And another one of them is the water issues causing, potentially, but we all know that is true with the ChatGPT and AI because of their data center, where they were built, how they're using water resources, because they do need fresh water to cool down in order to keep them functioning. And that is fighting resources with us, right? Because guess who is also in need of fresh water? Us. In order to sustain, to stay alive, we need fresh water resources too. But these data centers are fighting with us for waters as well in order to cool down and work. And we also saw that news a couple weeks ago that we are beyond the turning point of climate change. We are officially past that point of no return. So I don't know what else to say. Like, I know I'm just speaking off a tangent right now because I am very passionate about all these issues, and I'm not afraid to speak about them, and many of us are not either, and you are here for a reason. Probably we share the same values. So I really do hope that on the highest manifestation of all these water trines is that it will wake us up more. And I have to say, I do feel like more and more of us are waking up, more aware of it, are more willing to educate ourselves to find out what is really happening and what can we do. So all I can hope is that we continue on this path before it's way too late. Okay. Lastly, one more aspect I want to share is on the 23rd, we have the Sun in Sagittarius sextile Pluto retrograding in Aquarius at 1 degree. This can be a fun day. This can be a day where you have a fun day out after this heavy, hectic, crazy week. This can be a day where you're simply winding down, enjoying company of your loved ones or with yourself, going solitude, just doing something that you enjoy, right? Sag and Sun knows how to have fun. So this can be whatever fun means to you, whether this is hanging out with your friend, going to a party, or hanging out with your best friend, like with just one person, or even just with yourself, right? It doesn't always have to be a party crowded with lots of people. But the sextile between Sun and Pluto can also be a fun day to engage with topics related to, you know, all the Sag related stuff. This can be travel plans, this can be philosophy, spirituality. With Aquarius, this can, not all, but for some, this can be a fun day to organize and gather people with gathering with like-minded people as well. So I know a lot is happening this week. Please take care of yourself, your energy, you know, be kind to yourself and others around you, because we have a lot happening this week. I'm sending you all so much love. If you are still listening, I already posted that I have a solo return discount. This is the biggest discount of the year, where over 20% off for all my offerings. If you're interested, check it out. Email me to ask more questions if you have any, or to schedule your own very own booking with me. Sending you all so much love, and I'll see you next time.